Throw the keys. Right now. My husband's voice cut through the silence like a blade. We were in the living room. I had just unwrapped the box, brown paper, no return address, no emotion. My parents had sent it. At least, it looked that way. But the customs stamp on the back wasn't from our city. Or our country. It came from a location we weren't supposed to be connected to. Not anymore. What is this? I asked. He didn't move. Just stared at the label like it had spoken to him. Throw the keys. I dropped them. 38 minutes later, we were at the police station. No one said a word. His phone kept buzzing until he shut it off. The sergeant asked us to stay in the waiting room while they ran some checks. On what, I didn't know. The box had never been opened. We brought it as is. Still sealed. I could smell the tape on my hands, familiar. Navy blue, industrial, patterned. My father's company used to use the same kind. Used to. They shut that company down 3 years ago. Quietly. One day they were operational, the next, gone. An internal audit was the official story. But no one ever saw the results. No files. No press. Just a press release with one paragraph and silence. My husband hadn't stopped pacing since we arrived. It's happening again, he murmured once. What is? I asked. He looked at me like I was someone else. You don't remember. That's good. I tried to ask more, but an officer interrupted us. He had a clipboard, no smile. Ma'am, this package was flagged 3 years ago in a different investigation. We're trying to trace who reactivated the shipment request. I didn't request anything, I replied. He nodded like he already knew that. Did you read the label underneath? What label? They peeled back a second layer of tape on the bottom. Underneath was another name. Mine, but with a different last name. A name I haven't used since college. And beside it, a date. 2012, my stomach dropped. My husband didn't look surprised. That's when it started, he said. What started? I snapped. He didn't answer. Just turned away. Again. And then I remembered something. A flash from years ago. My sister, slipping something into Mom's purse. My mom whispering, "Don't let her find out." Not yet. That same week, I found a note in my drawer, unsigned. It said, "Don't trust the version they told you." I had forgotten all about it. Until now. Until this box. I hadn't seen that handwriting in over a decade. But my fingers still remembered the shape of the letters. Sharp. Nervous. Tilted too far left, like someone had written it while glancing over their shoulder. Don't trust the version they told you. That was it. No name. No context. Just those 7 words, folded into my dresser drawer when I was 19. I'd found it during winter break, right after a huge argument between my parents. I asked my mom about it, she snatched it from my hand so fast, it ripped in half. That's nothing. Probably from your sister. She was always dramatic. Then she laughed. But I remember how her hands shook. Now, 10 years later, I was sitting in a police station holding a box that shouldn't exist, and those words? They felt like the beginning of everything. A different officer walked in, holding a sealed folder with my name on it. Not my married name. My maiden one. I stared at it like it might explode. This file was created in 2012, he said. It was sealed by a private institution. Opened again last week. What kind of institution? He hesitated. That's what we're trying to determine. I reached for the folder. He pulled it away. Sorry. Still under federal restriction. But what I can tell you is someone used your identity. Not just once. Repeatedly. The activity flagged us because of the location attached. What location? I whispered. He looked directly at my husband. Facility 7, South Line Medical. My stomach flipped. I'd never heard of it. But my husband, he closed his eyes. That was supposed to be erased, he muttered. I turned to him. What was supposed to be erased? His voice cracked. Your file. Your treatments. The agreement was that if I cooperated, they'd seal everything. You were never supposed to find out. Everything around me spun. What agreement? To protect you. From what? His silence was louder than any answer. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. One message. Stop asking questions. She's already watching. I showed the screen to the officer. He stared at it, then slowly pulled out his phone and typed something. Seconds later, he went pale. You need to come with me. Now. Where? Somewhere without cameras. She just accessed our system. Remotely. Who is she? He didn't answer. But my husband whispered, almost to himself. She warned me this would happen. Who? Your sister. I froze. My sister disappeared 8 years ago. She's legally declared dead. And if she's not, then I've been lied to by everyone I've ever trusted. She warned me this would happen, he whispered. My husband. My husband, who just uttered the name of a person who shouldn't exist anymore. My sister. Legally dead. Memorial service. Ashes I never saw. I remember standing in a church full of people I didn't recognize. My mother weeping. My father silent. And me, completely numb. They told me it was an accident. That the search lasted days. That no body was recovered, but there was enough evidence to declare her gone. But now he said she warned him. I lunged at him. You talked to her? He stood still, like he expected this moment. I had no choice. It was part of the arrangement. What arrangement? What are you talking about? She didn't die. She disappeared. On purpose. I stepped back like he'd slapped me. The officer interrupted, his voice clipped. Both of you. Now. We need to move. This station isn't secure anymore. Why? I demanded. Because we just received a second package. For you. Different address. We intercepted it. The label had your sister's name as the sender. The floor disappeared beneath me. I was in a car minutes later. Sirens off. Back roads. No markings. The officer refused to answer my questions. My husband didn't speak at all. Finally, we stopped at a private property. Gated. Remote. Cameras everywhere. A code panel buzzed as we were led inside what looked like an old vacation house. But the basement was lined with screens. One screen already had an image waiting for me. A still frame. Grainy. Black and white. It was me. Sitting in the police station. But the image was taken from above. From the ceiling vent. That camera doesn't exist, the officer said quietly. Then how is this footage here? He looked at me. Someone built it in. Years ago. Another screen flickered. A new image. Also me. But younger. College dorm. I was sleeping. The photo was time-stamped, 2012. That year again. Then another image. A room. A hospital bed. And my sister. Eyes open. Hooked to something. Alive. Awake. And staring into the lens like she knew this moment would come. I gasped. My husband finally broke his silence. This is why we buried the truth. This is why your parents made the deal. And why she wants it all back. All of what back? I asked, breathless. Her name. Her life. Her identity. But before I could speak, every screen shut off. Then one came back on. A single message in red text. You weren't supposed to live this version. You weren't supposed to live this version. The red text on the screen pulsed for several seconds before vanishing. The room was silent. The officer stepped back like he'd seen a ghost. My husband didn't move at all, he just stared at the black screen with that same clenched jaw tension that now made my skin crawl. What does that mean? I asked. She warned me it might happen, he whispered. Who warned you? Your sister. But not the one you remember. My breath caught in my throat. Before I could react, another screen flickered back to life. A map. Dots appeared, one in our home, one at the police station, and now, one here. The officer cursed under his breath. She's tracking us in real time. Then a new window opened automatically. A document. Grainy. Faded. A birth certificate. Name, redacted. Mother, Helen D. Thompson. Father, James R. Thompson. Child, redacted. But the date. The date was off. It wasn't my birth certificate. It was someone born exactly 3 years after me. With the same parents. Another daughter? I turned to the officer. I don't have a younger sister. Apparently, he said, eyes wide, you do. Suddenly, a printer in the corner turned on. No one had touched it. It spit out one page. Just one. A black and white image of my parents' house. But the front door was wide open. Then another image. My mother. Standing in the hallway. Holding a phone. Looking terrified. When was this taken? I asked. This morning, the officer said. I felt sick. I hadn't spoken to her in days. She'd ignored my last 2 calls. And now. My husband checked his phone and suddenly stood up. We need to go. Now. What? Why? He showed me the screen. An email. No sender. No subject. One line of text. They're with her now. If you wait another hour, you won't have a mother either. I barely had time to think. The officer grabbed a radio, barked a command, but nothing came through. She's jamming our signal, he said. We're flying blind. In the silence that followed, the screen lit up again. This time it wasn't a message. It was a video. Security camera footage of a woman, my mother, being escorted out of her house. Calm. Willing. Not struggling. Smiling. But that wasn't what stopped my heart. It was the woman standing beside her. The one holding her hand. She looked exactly like me. Down to the clothes I wore last week. She looked exactly like me. Not similar. Not coincidentally familiar. Exactly. Same posture. Same way she tucked her hair behind her ear. Same tilt of the head when someone spoke. And the clothes, identical to what I wore last Thursday, down to the jacket that had gone missing 2 days ago. But I was standing here. Watching her. And she was holding my mother's hand. I couldn't breathe. This is a recording? I asked. No, the officer said. Live feed. She's still there. My knees buckled. I sat hard on the edge of a chair. My husband didn't say a word. Just rubbed his face like he was trying to wipe himself out of the room. I turned to him, voice shaking. Did you know about her? Silence. Answer me. He looked at me like a man finally breaking. There wasn't supposed to be a her anymore. They promised me they erased it all. Erased what? He looked at the officer. Should I tell her? You've already waited too long. He nodded. Then turned to me. The girl you're seeing, she's not your twin. She's not a stranger. She's the original. Original what? I whispered. You. I stared at him. I was ice. I was fire. That doesn't make sense. He laughed, and it cracked like glass. It's not supposed to. The officer stepped forward. We've seen versions of this in closed files. Unauthorized replications. Identity bifurcations. But they were experimental. Buried. Never supposed to reach the public. My whole body was trembling. You're saying I'm, what? A copy? No, my husband said. You're a continuation. After the original broke protocol, your parents signed on for a corrective program. They believed it would bring peace. But they never expected both of you to survive. I couldn't process it. Couldn't even scream. Then the feed changed. The woman, the other me, was now sitting on my parents' couch. My mother beside her. They were laughing. Drinking tea. And on the table between them. A folder. With my name on it. But not the name I go by now. The old one. The one I changed at 17. Then something else. A second folder. Labeled only. Final phase. What's the final phase? I asked. No one answered. Because every screen suddenly went black again. This time, the lights did too. The room went black. No screens. No lights. Just the hum of electricity being cut off at the root. Backup generator should have kicked in, the officer muttered, reaching for his radio. Dead silence. No signal. My husband grabbed my hand. Don't move. Don't say a word. Why? What's happening? If she's reached the power grid, she's closer than we thought. Who? My sister? He shook his head slowly. No. Not anymore. A soft mechanical click echoed from behind the wall. A door unlocking. The officer drew his weapon. I backed into the corner. Then the emergency lights flickered on, just enough to see one thing, the folder from the screen. It was now on the floor. Right in front of the security monitors. As if someone had placed it there silently in the dark. Final phase. No one moved. I picked it up. Inside, only photographs. All of me. All from moments I never remembered living. In one, I was standing in a hospital hallway, smiling at someone just outside the frame. My hair was shorter. My eyes were red like I'd been crying. In another, I was in a courtroom. A judge looking straight at me. I was raising my hand. And in the last one, I was sitting across from my sister. Or whoever she was. There was a note taped beside it. This is the moment everything broke. I turned to the officer. What happened to me? We don't know, he said honestly. Your records end here. But hers keep going. I turned to my husband. Did you ever love me? Or was I just? He grabbed my shoulders. Don't say that. I chose you. I married you. Not her. Then why does she remember my life better than I do? Because you let yourself forget. She never did. Suddenly, every screen turned back on. But this time, no maps. No surveillance. Just one camera feed. A room. White walls. One chair. And in the chair, me. Or her. She looked straight into the lens. And spoke. "You're getting close. Too close. That's why they'll shut you down." I stepped back. "Is this live?" The officer nodded slowly. "This is not from our system. She's bypassed everything." Then her eyes narrowed. "You want answers?" She leaned forward. "Then come home." The screen went black again. And printed out of the silent printer, without warning, came a ticket. One word printed in bold. Return. No destination. No name. No time. Just the unmistakable message, "You were never supposed to stay. Return." The word stared at me from the printed ticket like it was alive. Not just printed, imprinted. Pressed into the paper with intent. Heavy, almost etched. No address, no instructions. Just the demand. I looked at the officer. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. "This is bait," I said. "No," my husband said, stepping forward. "This is the beginning of the end. She's calling you back to where it started." "But what is that place?" He looked away. The officer finally broke the silence. "We have records of a facility linked to your family. Not a hospital. Not a school. Something, unregistered." He turned the screen toward me. Coordinates. Aerial photo. No signage. A cluster of gray buildings surrounded by forest. That's where the original agreement was signed. By who? Your parents. Your sister. And someone listed only as Caretaker 0. My pulse was everywhere. I had the strange sensation I'd seen that aerial image before, maybe as a child. A dream. Or something deeper. My fingers began to tremble. Then I looked at the final page in the folder. It wasn't a photo. It was a contract. Dated the year I turned 10. My signature, a child's scribble. But I never signed anything like this. Not that I remember. Next to my name, another signature. Hers. Same first name. Same last. Different handwriting. Sharper. Like someone taught her how to copy me. Better than I copied myself. I dropped the page. "I'm not going," I said. My husband stepped closer. "If you don't go, you'll never know who you were before this version. And if you wait too long, she'll decide for you. You said you loved me." "I did. I do. But you're not just you." The room fell into a suffocating silence. The printer suddenly came alive again. It printed a single image. A blurry photograph of a hospital hallway. In it, me, or her, being led down the corridor. But something was wrong with the photo. My face had been blurred out. Like someone didn't want either of us to see who was in that body. The officer looked at it and quietly said, "You were rewritten. That's why the memories don't match. They didn't just replicate you. They replaced the timeline." A shiver ran down my spine. Everything I remembered, the birthdays, the broken arm, the college I went to, none of it might have been real. Or worse, all of it had happened. Just not to me. "If I go," I whispered, "what if I disappear?" My husband shook his head. "That's not the question you should ask." "Then what is?" He looked me straight in the eye. "What if she's already replaced you again?" The road to the facility wasn't on any GPS. We drove for over 2 hours, turning off paved highways, onto gravel, then dirt, then nothing but a line of trees pressing in from both sides. The deeper we went, the more it felt like the road had never really been there at all, just a memory we were driving back into. My husband sat silently in the back seat, staring out the window like he already knew what we'd find. The officer drove. I held the envelope with the contract, the one with my childlike signature, still trembling in my lap. "We're almost there," the officer said. "How do you know?" He pointed ahead. A gate. Rusting. Unmarked. Slowly rising, as if someone already expected us. We drove through. Beyond the trees, buildings. Gray. Identical. Windowless. And quiet, not abandoned, just paused. Like everything here had been waiting for this exact moment to resume. Inside, the walls were sterile. The air was cold. I didn't know what I expected, maybe signs of dust, decay. But no. Everything was clean. Maintained. Active. "There are rooms," the officer said. "You'll recognize some. Others, you won't. That's part of it." "Part of what?" "The program." I didn't want to ask what that meant. They led me down a hallway. We passed a room with glass walls. Inside, children's drawings taped to the walls. One of them was of me. A stick figure, labeled Sister. Drawn in red crayon. Signed with my sister's handwriting. My breath caught. She'd been here. Or maybe she still was. Then, a door at the end of the hallway. The officer paused. "You go in alone." "What's inside?" "Everything they erased." I stepped in. The door closed behind me. Silence. Then, light. A projector activated on the far wall. Footage began to play. Me. As a child. In this facility. Not once. Not twice. Multiple clips. Different ages. Playing with blocks. Reading from a screen. Crying. Screaming. And someone off camera saying, "She's stabilizing." Good. Now reset the trigger. I covered my mouth. Another clip. A room like this one. But there were two girls. Identical. Arguing. One screamed, "I'm not the copy." The other sobbed, "They said I could leave." Then static. Then, darkness. A voice from the corner of the room. Not from speakers. Real. Alive. "You shouldn't have come back." I turned. And she stepped out of the shadows. My face. My eyes. But older. Sharper. Her. "You're not supposed to exist," she said softly. "Neither are you," I whispered. She smiled. "Then let's fix that." We stood there, face to face. Two versions. Two timelines. And only one ending. "You shouldn't have come back," she said again. Her voice was colder now. Controlled. Like she'd practiced it. "Why am I even here?" I whispered. She tilted her head, almost sympathetically. "Because someone finally broke the cycle." She moved closer. "You're not the first version. And neither am I. That's the part no one tells you." My knees weakened. She continued. "They made us, again and again. Every time something went wrong, a failed response, a corrupted reaction, they started over. And when one of us became too independent, they replaced her." She smiled without warmth. "Guess which one you are." "So I'm just an experiment?" "You were. Until you made it here." A monitor came to life behind her. Dozens of thumbnails. Each showed a different me. Some laughing. Some in hospital gowns. Some not moving. She turned to the screen. Each of them thought they were the only one. She pointed to one. That version lasted 6 years. She believed she had a daughter. She never did. Then another. That one thought she was adopted. No parents. Turns out, they just erased the memories. I felt my chest closing in. Then she looked at me. Really looked. You're the only one who got this far. You breached the limit. Saw the files. Asked the questions. I took a breath. Then why not destroy me like the others? Her voice dropped. Because I'm tired of being the only one who remembers. She stepped forward, close enough to touch. There can't be 2 of us. That's not how the protocol works. But this time, I'm giving you the choice. The wall behind her slid open. Another room. Empty except for a chair and a monitor. On screen, my life. All of it. Edited. Curated. Controlled. She nodded toward the chair. Sit there, and forget. They'll reset you. You'll go back. Live peacefully. Never ask again. I stared at it. And if I don't? She smiled. Then I go back. And you stay. Alone. Remembering everything. Locked in the truth. 2 choices. 1 ending. Silence. Then I spoke. I remember the red crayon. She blinked. What? The drawing. You signed it. But I drew it. You were the copy. Her face dropped. And I ran. Past the chair. Past the door. Down corridors that shifted around me. Behind me, alarms. Voices. Her scream. But I didn't stop. Because if I did, I'd never know if this version was finally mine.